All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and get started. We've got a lot of information to go over today. So we got a more than the usual load today. So before we get started, I always want to thank our sponsors, Illinois Wesleyan, especially for this beautiful building that we're in now, Illinois State University, our friends at Central Illinois Regional Airports, WGLT, of course, Serban, Cumulus Radio, The Bowl, Cities 92.9, and Magic 99.5. And also want to give a shout out to let everybody know that my mother is in town from Tennessee. So no heckling, O'Grady. So keep it to a minimum today. Those that don't know me, my name is Patrick Hoban. I'm the CEO of the Bloomington-Normal Economic Development Council. I did graduate from Millikan University, which I have to apologize since we're at Wesleyan right now and you guys were our competitors. Ended up going through the National Development Council to get my Economic Development Finance Professional designation, which allows us to do economic modeling, which comes in handy. Also went to the University of Oklahoma through their Economic Development Institute, which our staff is going through right now. Casey just got back from his first one, and Nick is finishing up his shortly. I'm a certified economic developer from the International Economic Development Council, and I also got my master's in business analytics from the University of Notre Dame. Go Irish. The blue and gold game is tomorrow if anybody wants to tune in and see how they're looking this year. Pretty sure Neil will be watching. All right, so I always try to come up with some kind of a theme as we go through each one of these quarterly updates. And when I first got to town, I always told people, knowing what Rivian was doing, seeing what was going on in the economy, I was just trying to figure out how to ride the wave. Well, now we have to turn around and teach everybody else how to surf, and it's definitely time to start paddling. We'll follow the same format that we always do. We're gonna go over the impact, the overall numbers that happened last quarter. We'll talk about what our organization and community leaders did last quarter, and then we'll talk about how we're gonna adapt for next quarter. So right off the bat, we'll start with the impact. And again, like we have to start paddling now. This is something that we've been talking about for a while in these economic updates as far as what was coming and on the way. And you're gonna see that the numbers are finally caught up to us. All right, so we'll talk about our employment trends, and there's two trends that we like to look at: the LAUS, local area unemployment statistics, and the CES, current employment statistics. To take a look at these and get an overall perspective, we like to show this graphic. Whenever we talk about the BLS for us, it's not just Bloomington, it's not just Bloomington-Normal, but our MSA does include DeWitt County. That's something that the feds do. That's how we get our data. So when we talk about this data, it's for our MSA. The numbers that for the darker green arrow, those are the amount of people that drive into work every single day. That number has got to be higher now because I've talked to Rivian. I know who's coming from Peoria. I know who's coming from Clinton. I heard like half the town of Clinton's coming up here now. And then the lighter arrow, those are the amount of people that live here but work somewhere else. So maybe a trailing spouse might work over at the U of I. And then the circle that's in the middle, that's who live and work here. Our goal is to try to figure out how can we get everyone to live and work here. That's what's best for our economy. So if we can get a lot of those people, that 33,000, actually locate here, we'll be better off. But as you all know, we're kind of short on houses right now. So what we're going to look at first is the local area unemployment statistics. And these are the people that actually live here regardless of where they work. And as WGLT reported, you're going to see that everything is going up. So the 2022 data, when it comes, well, not everything, the unemployment is going down, which is what we want. So if you look at the blue numbers, you can see everything trending downward. And then as we start this year, it keeps going down even further. Now, we're not as far down as we were before the pandemic, but we're beating pretty much everybody else in the state of Illinois. Employment-wise, these are the amount of people that live here that work somewhere else. This has definitely gone up. We've always said that the numbers are not reflecting what's going on in our economy. They're still not reflecting what's going on in our economy. This is nowhere near where it should be. It's eventually catching up, though. You can see for the bulk of 2021, everything was around 85,000, sort of flat, and it starts ramping up towards the end of the year. As we continue into the orange, it's going to keep going up. This is not going to slow down anytime soon. And then whenever you combine the two, the unemployment with the employed, that's where you get the labor force from, and our labor force continues to grow. So this is, again, this is not going to shrink anytime soon. In order to get the rate, the formula is employed plus unemployed equals your labor force. Then we divide the unemployment by that to get the rate. I'm not really a fan of this ratio. It's a way that you can compare other communities. We're always at the bottom, us in Champaign, always battling. We're beating them right now. I think they're at like 3.8. We're at 3.7. We're definitely below. And this is something that you can be proud of it, because that means like if you want to work, you are working. On the other side though, when we talk to site selectors or businesses looking to come to the community, this is not always a good sign, because it's like, where are my workers at? So it's basically showing that if you want to work here, you are working right now. The next one, the current employment statistic, this is one that we really focus on, because this, when it comes to our businesses and the jobs that are available, these are the ones that we want to constantly see growing. So these are the people that work here and live here, and then those who live somewhere else and come in. And again, this number is going up. I believe it's another one that GLT reported on that shows like last year, as the numbers were slowly going up, and actually if you dive deeper into each industry, manufacturing on this is still about 3,500. There's 5,200 people at Rivian right now. It still hasn't fully caught up to what's happening. There is a lag in the federal data. But as you see, this wave is just going to keep going up as more people come in, more suppliers come in, and Rivian continues to hire. And we also like to show the seasonally adjusted, because whenever we originally did this during the pandemic, we noticed that Bloomington-Normal and Champaign had a major dip right in the middle of summer. And we're like, what the heck happened? We look terrible right now. Well, all the students were gone. So whenever we seasonally adjusted, it showed that we were pretty much average. But now even seasonally adjusted, you can see that we're well above where we were in last year. So now the idea is that everybody is working, we have disposable income. What is happening with our retail sales trends? So this is comparing 3 years. The blue number is actually 2020. So you can see in April, right when the pandemic was happening, things really dipped. Now 2021, the orange, you can see when April hit and everyone got their tax returns, they started spending like crazy. That has continued, as you can see in the gray. As those numbers come in, we're not as high in February, but we're still beating the last 2 years. So the theory is more people are working, you've got more money, you're spending more money locally. Then investment wise, what we really like to track, at the end of the funnel, at the end of the economic development flywheel, are people investing back in the community? Last year's total sum was 172 building permits. This year we're already at 79, so we're off to a hot start. Investment wise, I'm not saying we're going to beat the 185 million, but we're already at 122. And I know some other projects that are coming, some more potential projects if we land them. We're definitely, I shouldn't say definitely, we're projected right now to beat last year's investment, which of course means more jobs and more people that we need to find homes for. So we can look at this challenge, you know, as what it is a challenge. You know, we always like to say, or more of an opportunity. I mean, so we want to say we're in any type of crisis mode right now, but I mean, there's a lot going on, a lot of people that are wanting to come here. And so some of the things that we want to talk about are how we assessed and reacted to this current situation over the last quarter. So the economic development flywheel, we always, of course, like to develop our resources. If we have good resources, our businesses can develop. If our businesses develop, they invest back in the community, and we start to cycle again. At the EDC, we have different committees to stay on course. We really focus on real estate and development. Neil Finland actually leads that committee. We've got a business committee trying to make sure that our businesses here locally are thriving, and also to help target new businesses to bring in. Then of course, workforce, which is a major need right now. So the plan itself, we'll get into a little bit, but it's hard to believe that this plan that we created was approved in 2020. It was only a plan for 1.5 years. That plan is going to expire this August. So we're gonna have to get back at it and hopefully create a 3-year plan. But the 15 items that are public that we put on here, project management, we're always gonna do that. We're always gonna do business retention and expansion. So we have to take care of our current businesses. We're always gonna work with developers and our local real estate professionals, which have been great partners in helping us fill out those RFPs. Always have to do business attraction, even though we joke that maybe we should stop doing business attraction because we're running out of people, and it's kind of hard to sell when you're running out of people. Standardized incentive, that's getting really close on that. Our One Voice, which we just completed, and we'll talk about a little bit. Having a good BN STEM program. Workforce attraction now is a major necessity. BN Forward, economic gardening, our rural fellowship, which we're getting really close on hiring. Our virtual tours, community vision, which is another whole initiative we'll get into. The BN Innovation Alliance, which we actually won a great grant for recently, and then entrepreneurship. Let's dive into these. So this year, right off the bat, everything starts with project management. That is where we're trying to get to with every other initiative. You're going to see up here, a lot of people think that it's going to be all about distribution because it's a low-hanging fruit for distribution around here. I'm happy to say a lot of the projects that are coming in are for manufacturing. Manufacturing for us has a higher multiplier, meaning that if you bring in a distribution center, The jobs there are going to be mostly forklift drivers, moving goods, which we definitely need, but manufacturers have a higher multiplier because they're going to be bringing in suppliers as well. And they normally pay more than what a distribution center would be. And not all of these manufacturing jobs are related to Rivian. There are other people that have seen that, okay, you guys are building a chocolate factory, you're good at making chocolate, you guys are good at making beer nuts, you guys are good at making electric trucks, what else can you make? So other people are trying to find out what they can make here. And it really has a lot to do with the fact that we have the second lowest electricity rates in the nation, combined with the low cost of doing business, and that reshoring has actually outpaced foreign direct investment for the first time ever. So because of the supply chain issues, people are saying we have to bring things back home and make them here. And right now we're being targeted to make things. So far this year, at 19 projects, again, more manufacturing coming here, a couple cold storage projects on here, which I know the airport's happy to hear about as we partner with them on a possible cold storage park. But for us, again, manufacturing is the key. So on this pace, if we continue, it'll probably uptick over the summer. We'll be around 80 projects for the year. Besides project management, we really focus on taking care of our own businesses. The conversation is always workforce. And then after that, it's the induced impact. So it's like a double-edged sword when you expand so fast. There's definitely workforce needs, but then also as more people are coming to town to have more disposable income, you probably notice the restaurants are packed right now. It's kind of like twofold. Like people can make more money so they go somewhere else, but then also they have more money so they're buying more things locally. And that's why you're seeing those retail things spike, which is the induced impact. Developer retention and attraction. We've had a couple really successful familiarization tours, having developers come in from outside of the area. Neil's been a part of a lot of those too, bringing people in, and also going to development conferences and telling our story. And happy to say that when we go to these conferences, they used to always know us for State Farm, Illinois State, and now they all know about Rivian as well. So being known for manufacturing really sparks some conversations. Business attraction. I just got back from North Carolina probably 3 weeks ago to show. And some of the main takeaways we probably do a whole presentation on just what's going on from their point of view in site selection, but they'd all told me that, pre-pandemic was the rise of distribution. Now it's the rise of manufacturing. That really has to do with supply chain because it used to be just in time and now it's just in case. Developers are also targeting underutilized buildings. Right now, the supply chain is so backed up. I remember not even, 6 months ago, we could tell somebody we can get something in the ground in 6 months. And now that has been bumped out to 18 months. So when you're talking about sewer, infrastructure, water, trying to develop some of these greenfields, it's ramped up that fast. So because of that, because of supply chain challenges, developers are now looking at underutilized buildings. So these massive vacant buildings. So we're hopefully going to do something with the GE building. That's a major underutilized building. So if you guys know of any buildings around town that with the right type of investments, that is more valuable now than it ever has been before because of the timing. Because people can't get things in the ground, they can't get the materials to build the new buildings, they want to utilize the older buildings. And then also the pension funds. So I'm sure you guys saw back in the day, pension funds are really heavily investing in office space and also hotels. You saw hotels going up all over the place. That has now shifted because of remote work and e-commerce spike is really going to industrial. So because of that, people want more distribution. And also because everybody is working from home, not really doing the hotels as much, they don't need the office space. It's really going to go back into manufacturing, which is what we need. So it's almost a perfect storm. We need more manufacturing space. We need that distribution space, but there's no supply. So that's going to hopefully help us out with some of our vacant buildings. And then also, which I've said this many times, but they keep reiterating, if you don't have the talent, you're not going to get a deal, period. That's the #1 question, anyone coming to us. But like, you got great land, great assets, great utilities. Where are your workers? Everyone keeps coming back to the workers, which is why when we get to our branding campaign, it's not necessarily targeted to attract businesses. When we're talking about our community's brand now, that's how do we keep these college kids here? How do we bring in people that used to live here home and also attract new talent? Standardized incentive. We've been working on this one since I got here. Happy to say that the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, which Lauren is here from, there she is, from the state, they have approved this. So we're making it through all the hurdles. Next on the list, the big one, is going to be our school districts and our community partners. We have projects that are waiting on this now. And in the beginning, it was working with all the attorneys from the top 5. Now we're working with the attorneys from the school district to get them on the same page, but we're getting really close. And so once that gets done, we can hopefully make some major announcements along with the state. Maybe next week, don't quote me on that, but we might be going public to try to get some approval on this. One Voice, we did get to do One Voice this year, and this is really important to us because it's all about bringing dollars back to the community that we've already paid. Those funds have been allocated. This one was going to be interesting. We were having a debate internally. Do we do it like we did last year where everything's via Zoom, or do we actually take the risk and go out there? Our staff had said, let's go ahead and go out there because we already paid for the hotel bill. We already paid for all the pasta. If it's just us, we're going to eat a lot of pasta and drink a lot of wine. Luckily, we did have 30 people go, and 2 days before we got there, they actually opened up DC. So we got to have some meetings in person, which was wonderful. Because you guys know, like whenever you're doing something on Zoom, you're not making the same impact as shaking someone's hand. They're going to remember you better. So they were very grateful that we were out there in person. The three projects that we took were our Binward upgrades. Very happy to say that the feds have funds allocated for sewer systems, wastewater systems. Tim Urban did a great job of explaining our needs here. And it's the biggest ask that I've taken out there, but we're looking at about $220 million to upgrade our sewer systems. That's out of sight and out of mind. We all see the roads, we all see other things that we can improve, but if you don't have those sewers, we're not doing any deals. And you can talk to Tim about it. He can probably do a whole presentation for at least 2 hours on the importance of it. But the EDA made requirements that basically say that we have to upgrade everything. And ours were built a long time ago. And we also need to figure out a way to start hopefully tapping in some of the surrounding communities, because as the demand for housing grows, these smaller communities are saying, hey, you can build out here if we had the right infrastructure. So they can build their own infrastructure, their own wastewater treatment plants, but then they got to hire somebody to run them. It'd probably be a lot easier if they just tapped into ours, the bigger one as a whole. So that's what we're working on now. The other one is the Heartland Community College Manufacturing Academy. We've got the Eves Academy lined up for electric vehicle and energy storage. We're trying to find out now what else, because manufacturing is in such high demand, what other type of manufacturing can we teach out there? And last but not least, over at the airport, Sierra Road, you've probably seen some of the construction at the end of Airport Road. They're moving the pipe out of there. They really want to get a road that's going to go back into FedEx, which would open up that entire area for hopefully cold storage and distribution. That's prime property. That's more towards the outside of town. That's where we'd like to handle that. And also, unbeknownst to me, until we looked at what they actually owned, there's some rail at the very bottom of their property. That could become a very valuable resource going forward. Next one is Be in STEM. This is one of our workforce initiatives, trying to get really K through 12 interested in everything that's going on in our backyard. And we actually have a podcast that should be coming out in a couple of weeks. We met with Kevin Reeves at State Farm and to talk about the history of STEM. So it was really interesting to hear how State Farm got involved early on compared to some of the programs that we have now. But it's something that gets people ready. But then the next phase is probably even more important because of the demand for workers, and that's workforce attraction. So this recently came out that we were ranked 8th for the fastest growing county in the state of Illinois. You guys have seen that. There's people everywhere. I think right now there's only 9 homes on the market under $300,000. That's a problem. You know, if we don't have the right houses here, then we're not going to get the people that we need to support what we have, let alone anything new. Which is why we originally planned on doing a workforce attraction study to try to get people to come in on a campaign. We did partner with our friends at the Pantograph to turn that into a commuting campaign. So we targeted everyone within a radius and basically said, hey, join those 30,000 people that drive here every single day. Gave them a page that they can go to, sign up. We hook them up with a headhunter to hopefully get them to commute here, because we had people saying, I would relocate to your community if there was anywhere to live. We're out of houses, so we're focused on this. Which brings us to the housing study. So the theory behind the housing study was we talked to enough developers that said, I would love to develop in your community. I hear your anecdotal stories. I see everyone leaving the hotels and getting on a bus and going to work because there's nowhere to live, so they're staying in your hotels. But none of your data actually matches what you're saying. So we hired some consultants, partnered with Ameren, the Chamber, McLean County Regional Planning to gather all the data needed for a housing study that will basically show us that we can afford more here. And so today we're going to go over a little bit of the summary of this. We're hoping next week they're going to have a full-blown version of this that will be on our website that you guys can download. But this is what our developers need to take to the bank to say the data's here, there's numbers behind these anecdotal stories. But number one, since 2010, household growth of 7.5% exceeding household unit growth, which meaning is that we're making more money than actual houses that are being built. 82% of new housing development has been outside of the urban core. That's the sprawl that you see, everything going to the east side. There's a lot of opportunity for infill. There's a lot of opportunity, even, it's funny, I'll drive by neighborhoods, there's like a cornfield in the middle of a neighborhood. Like that could be development instead of keep pushing out. The market lacks high amenitized contemporary multifamily. There's 47% of what we have was built before 1980. I joke with Neil, don't quote me on this either, but like the Chicago Cubs literally had people showing up to the stadium all the time and never invested into the team because people were going to show up. So why would you have to invest in higher amenity housing here if people are going to buy it anyway? We're to the point now where people they're making more money than they've ever had before. We can afford more, and that's the point of this study. Since 2010, 39% of increased renter occupied single family homes. That means that just 12 years ago, this has ramped up 39% because there's not enough places to stay when it comes to apartments that meet their needs. So they're buying the homes or they're renting homes. The opportunities itself, so we are affordable, that's for sure. Like the average wage is higher than national average, but property values are 40% lower for now. As you guys know, this is all ranking up, but this is a good thing that we use to sell the area. Our demographics are definitely shifting. We've had more than 100,000 increase by 40% when it comes to earnings. And then the projected growth, yeah, we're going to keep growing. And even the numbers I'm going to show you now, when it comes to projected growth, it's wrong. I guarantee you with what's coming and what's already here, there's going to be more people than what this is. And this is based off of 2010 to 2020 data. So this was before Rivian did what Rivian did. So these numbers, as good as they look compared to everybody else, that's not what's happening now, which is why we're taking another week to hopefully get some data from Rivian to show what else is going to be projected. Workforce attraction wise, when it comes to the amount of money that people are making, if you look at, there has been a dip, but it's because people are making more money at the end, so we can actually afford more. And then the change in the renter occupied housing units by household, you can see that there's definitely more towards the bottom than in the middle. And the type of housing that we have here right now, this is interesting that you can see since 2010, the bulk of everything being built has been student housing, which makes sense. We're a college town, but there's a lot of opportunity that we could have been investing in multifamily and single family housing. But from 2010 to 2020 to have a 37% growth in student housing, you can tell where our focus is. We've got to start focusing on the other side. And then the renter occupied units up 17%, where Illinois is at 12% and USA is at 14%. And when it comes to single family renters, this is where I'm a little concerned, because if we had more of the traditional rental units, we wouldn't have an uptick of 39% of people renting homes. Like those homes should be for families. If we had the higher end rentals, we wouldn't have this issue. And here's the other one from Zillow. And this is just, you guys have seen this in the ramp. If you guys go get your house reappraised right now, I'm sure our banker friends in the room would like you to do that. But the value has definitely gone up. I bought a home, I think last March, and I think it's up $50,000 already. People are buying homes sight unseen. It's amazing what's happening right now. I will warn you, if you try to sell your house, good luck finding somewhere else to move. Well, like I said before, there's only 9 homes on the market. And then when it comes to the average rents by class, class A compared to class B, class C, you can see it's really ramped up on the upper end. So we have potential, the demand's there. And of course, the opposite, the vacancy rate is completely down. So we've got a great opportunity to improve our rental stock. And then here's the supply versus demand. And you can see at the end, the amount of money that we make that we could be paying for our homes that we're not is all the way down there. So we like to brag that we have really good disposable income here compared to our housing stock. We've got some ground to make up. So there's a lot of potential at the end. And then this is the occupied rates. And here is the demand overall. So growth by county, like I said earlier, this is what they're projecting from 2020 to 2030 from the Illinois Department of Public Health. This is off. Like honestly, they're saying in the next 10 years or 8 years, we're supposed to be at 10,000 people, but they got this data before Rivian did what Rivian did. At this time, I think Rivian might have had 300 employees, not 5,200 employees. This is before Ferrero announced a $75 million chocolate factory and the need for 100 more jobs. Like there's people growing here already, and these numbers aren't even accounting for that. So this one is pictures worth 1,000 words. You know, we went over the data, but showing like our best right now for renters. You can see like these are some of our top properties. When I got to town, I actually lived in Ironwood Apartments. I did like it out there. It was a really short drive to work. But if you see what we've got to offer and when they were built, compared to what other communities our size have to offer and when they were built, and we wonder why some of our students want to relocate in other places. These are the greenfield developments. These are infill developments. So if you see people that are like upgrading their downtowns, I mean, even just short drive over to Champaign, you can see what they've got when it was built in 2017. And then here's the ones that are for sale. So I really think that we need to upgrade our housing stock. I love Bloomington Beige. I've got a family of 4. I like living on the golf course. Not everybody that's coming to town right now has a family of 4 or wants this type of lifestyle. They need something like this. So we really need to focus on upgrading our amenities and diversifying our housing stock. So the priorities themselves are expand higher quality multifamily housing stock, increase the pace of single family developments, invest in our existing housing stock, and explore housing diversification strategies. And next steps, like I said, we're going to have this published, a full detailed report, hopefully next week, once I get everything from some of our employers. And then we'll do a press release of that as well. So hopefully everyone will know that this is available. I know we've got multiple developers waiting on this study right now because they need to take it to the bank. There's people ready to go, but until these numbers match what's happening, we're going to have a hard time playing catch up. All right, after that, our BN Forward program is online. This is a great program where our local businesses, with all the new funds that are coming out, whether it's from the state or from the feds, they can call this 1-800 number instead of calling my cell phone, and they can get help applying for grants. They can also get into the system itself, and when the new program comes out, they will send it to you. So they'll find out what you qualify for, then as a grant becomes available, they will send it directly to you. So on the top of our website, there's a banner where all of our businesses can sign up. Next one here is economic gardening. This is one we really want to partner with the chamber on. We have allocated funds to help out local businesses. Some businesses are really good at manufacturing, but they might not know too much about marketing. They might not know too much about finance or strategic planning. So we will hire someone to come in and be a consultant for them. As long as they can take it to the next level, that's the goal. Within theory, they create more jobs, and then we can keep doing this over and over. So if you know of any projects, or if there's any consultants that are out in the room to help volunteer for this, we're looking to play matchmaker. Next one is a Rural Development Fellowship. We have interviews completed, and we've made an offer to 1 student. So we're hopefully going to have an ISU fellow coming up for an entire year, and they're going to go out to the rural communities and help get them demographic profiles, inventory all their available land, and then partner with Casey to meet with their local businesses. Because we've done a great job of volunteering or getting things done within Bloomington-Normal. We want to expand that footprint because we are a county of 172,000. There's a lot of businesses and available land out there as well. So this will help us expand our reach. The next one on here, partnering with the chamber, or not chamber, partnering with the airport, with Research FDI to really find out and set up meetings to try to attract cold storage to our community. We think there's a lot of potential with the way that people do online ordering now, even when it comes to flowers, pharmaceuticals, food, that the airport could be a prime location for that. So they're going to match us up. This will be a marketing effort as well, but right now they're doing the research to get us a package together. And then the next one is the community vision. So coming up with the campaign itself, we did hire a full-time community marketing manager, Whitney, who is here with us today. And we also have Jennifer Coe, who is also with us today, who is working on, once the brand is complete, getting it out there to make sure it doesn't sit on a shelf. So the timeline itself, which we had already done, is immersion tour with the consultants. We hired DCI. We held focus groups. They did a SWOT analysis. And today we're going to go over a little bit of some of the findings. I almost turned this into a contest to see if people could guess, what everyone thought that we are. It was amazing to me how consistent the message was, whether what group we met with, what they thought of Bloomington-Normal, whether it was on a survey or in person. So key takeaways right now, we've got Bloomington-Normal's business messaging is substantial, but talent-centric message is lacking. In the past, like I said, we've done a great job of going after business. We have not done such a great job of retaining our talent or trying to bring talent in. Being advanced talent brand lacks cohesive direction. It tried to be everything to everyone. So this is really a relaunch of what Being Advantage tried to do on the marketing side. Then also with so many regional partners, collaboration and cohesion messaging is key to selling the region as a whole to talent. So we really have to sell everything that we have. So we asked everybody, how do you describe yourself? I noticed this too. I'm a transplant. A lot of the people that are in this community are transplants. They're not townies. They're not born and raised. I'm from Decatur. It seemed like everyone there was a townie. This is a good thing. Everything's more collaborative here. Why people came here? For the most part, it's for employment. That's why people came here. The survey results match the same thing. When it comes to the best selling points of the region, cost of living, we just talked about that. Being able to make a lot of money here and have a low cost of living, you can have a really, really good life. Biggest hurdles when trying to attract external talent to the area, perception or lack of awareness. It was really interesting whenever we did the marketing study with the ISU students and asked them what they wanted, and they told us things that we had, and they were just unaware. So that's our fault that we did not share the information or get in front of them when they said it'd be really cool if you guys had a farmer's market. I was like, holy cow. I was like, it'd be really cool if you had something like Topgolf. Like, we have these things that you want, they just weren't aware. So we need to do a better job of reaching out to them. Some of the takeaways, there's been a lot of these, but overall quotes. The one that I really like out of this is that I didn't realize it until we came here that everything is easy here. This is how life is supposed to be lived. Our quality of life skyrocketed. And it could be something, maybe it's because I was in Decatur, then I lived in Chicago, but coming back down here, I really thought that a lot of people here took what they had for granted. Because when I hear people talk about how long they have to sit in traffic, like go to Cook County. I hear people talk about taxes, same thing, go check out Cook County. Like, this is a great place to live, work, and play. Word cloud of a lot of the common themes that came about, either on the survey or also in the focus groups. We're a welcoming community, we're vibrant, but we're also vanilla. Like, it's all right to be here. So we're trying to figure out how we can capture all that and get it into an overall brand. But when you think about Bloomington-Normal and when it talks, we do sound welcoming, we are authentic, we're relatable, we're open, and we're down to earth. The brand style itself, we need to be able to say that we're playful yet reliable, lean more toward modern and progressive, but not too progressive. We're warm, friendly, and vibrant. And the brand promise is that Central Illinois Twin Cities of Bloomington-Normal are truly at the center of it all, offering a vibrant yet affordable lifestyle. Create a life worth living here, where opportunity meets stability. I think that's what a lot of people see. This is a very stable community. We've always had stable growth, but there's a ton of opportunity here. I think we have the opportunity to tap into that, to really tap into entrepreneurship. We've got some of the best entrepreneurship stories ever. Rivian was an entrepreneurship story. State Farm was an entrepreneurship story. Distill, he's making that in his garage, and now it's being sold overseas. So next steps, after they've got that down, they've got the brand positioning statement, they really need to work on coming up with the taglines and logos. That'll be next. After that, they're going to come up with brand guidelines, and then we're going to partner with the chamber in order to launch this to tell the whole community. Smart cities is our 14th one on here, and that is really has to do with the Bloomington-Normal Innovation Alliance. That's making sure that our community technology and data systems really line up with the growth of our community and some of the companies that are here. A lot of our partners are in the room now, and happy to say, this is already announced, but we did receive a $50,000 grant to expand our broadband internet access. So that's a major part of it. The good news about this is if you utilize the dollars the correct way, it'll be similar to going to One Voice. Hopefully we can tap into more dollars. So we're going to make sure that we're applying for all these funds that are coming out when it comes to investing in our technology infrastructure. And then going forward. So next quarter, hopefully what we're going to end up solving is, well, yeah, starting off, Bloomington was the only Illinois metro to fully recover from the pandemic and job loss, which has led to some of this wave that you're seeing right now. But things that are still on our to-do list, we have to finish our workforce development strategic plan. We've already identified the different areas of readiness, of upskilling, of retention and attraction. There are things being done in those areas. But if we start looking at other communities and what they're doing in this space, we've got outlined what we're doing now. We need to make a plan on where we're going to go going forward. The next one is entrepreneurship. This was number 15. It was on pause at the last couple. Being by the numbers, luckily the last board meeting, the county came to us and said, hey, there's still $380,000 left over in the fund that we're using for recovery funds. What can we do with this? And we thought, let's get back in the entrepreneurship game. So we're gonna get back in the entrepreneurship game. We're looking for ideas. So if you see best practices in other communities on how we can utilize these funds, a cool one that I would like to steal from the city or village of Monticello, they actually will have a Shark Tank competition. They'll partner with local landlords of commercial spaces. Instead of giving the company money, they will pay the rent. So if you win the competition, if you have a plan from Illinois Wesleyan's SBDC, we will pay your rent to go occupy some of these spaces for 6 months to a year. So in my mind, that's a win-win. That could be one of the programs that we go after, but we're looking for ideas. So the county right now is asking us to find ideas for them and make a presentation. Then the county will change the use of the funds, hopefully to encourage some of the startups here, because I think we've got a great opportunity for startups, ton of trailing spouses, ton of students with great ideas. We need the infrastructure to nurture those. And then this one, like I said earlier, our economic development strategic plan is expiring this August. So we have to start the process over and find out what we're going to do for the next 3 years. So the plan right now is to really get all the metrics together for this strategic plan so we can share with you what we accomplished, what we didn't, what we need to work on, and then rearrange, reprioritize, and get things launched in January 2023 after we approve it with the new budget going forward for the next 3 years. So it'll be a larger version of the one that we've got now, but hopefully by then the standardized incentive is complete. Some of the other items with the branding initiative, those are all done. So we'll have some space and more capacity to work on things. So this is something that'll be coming up as well that hopefully we can present at the end of the year. How you guys can help. If you have not met with Casey yet, please schedule, or if you know any other businesses that need to meet with Casey, we need to go in there and make sure that you guys are aware of the same tools that all the larger companies have at their fingers on. So we've got some new tools that are out as well all the time from the state of Illinois. We want to share those. If you're aware of available property, even if it's not publicly available, we still need to know that, because when we have these RFPs or businesses ask us if you have available sites, if it's not in our system, then we're not in the game. So if you guys know of any sites that are not on our system, our friends at Coldwell Banker have been wonderful to work with at filling these out, but we're not applying for everything we can because sometimes they're asking for things that we don't have. So we could lose suppliers because Peoria, Springfield, Decatur has more space than we do. So we need to know, we need to make sure that we've got the space. And if you guys want to be on the podcast, we're really ramping up the podcast again. So if anybody wants to be on a guest and tell your story, and we can talk about how your company actually impacts our area, let us know. We'll get you on the podcast. And we have plenty of committees. If you want to get involved in the EDC, please contact Stephanie. And we also have a new investor perk system that's out there. If anyone wants to be an investor, if you're not, there's things that we're lining up going forward, like access to a dashboard. So you don't have to wait every quarter to get this. You can have it at your fingertips. So when the data comes out and you want a progress report on what we're working on, you can just log in and have access to it. And with that, I'll open it up for questions.